rather than in a side holster, a gift from his late father, which at present was hidden by the short-waisted jacket he was wearing. All things considered, that was just as well. While Mac had grown fairly proficient with the gun in recent years, he was never eager to reach for it, and this occasion hardly seemed to warrant doing so, at least not yet. From behind the bar, the elderly apron, who was barely tall enough for his scrawny neck and liver-spotted bald head to poke above the level of the hardwood, did his best to sound authoritative. "You gents knock it off. Either that or take it outside," he hollered. "You know what Farrell will do if he walks in on this." Hearing the warning, Jerry Lee snarled, "You keep your beak out of this, Shorty, and to blazes with Farrell." And then he charged at Mac. Mac had been waiting for that. Instead of holding still for the other man's rush, he agilely stepped aside and at the same time swept an empty chair from the unoccupied card table he'd been standing next to directly into the path of the oncoming Jerry Lee. The latter immediately barked his shins on the sturdy chair, resulting in him issuing a painful yelp, and then got his legs tangled up in it as his wild swing at Mac pulled him forward and off balance. Jerry Lee belly-flopped across the toppled chair, taking hard jabs from the sharp wooden edges to his stomach and ribs before rolling off into an awkward sprawl on the sawdust-littered floor. Some onlookers winced at this painful collapse. A few others chuckled at the ungainliness of it. Jerry Lee roared in pain and heightened rage as he scrambled to get to his hands and knees so he could then rise to a standing position. But before he could do that, Mac took a hurried step around behind him, braced himself, then leaned over to haul Jerry Lee up to his knees. From there, Mac quickly slipped his left arm under the cowboy's chin, clamping the throat in the crook of his arm. At the same time, he once again locked Jerry Lee's right wrist in the grip of his own right hand, then wrenched the arm back and up between the struggling cowpoke's shoulder blades. "All right now, Jerry Lee," Mac rasped with his mouth close to the man's ear. "I think you better calm down before somebody gets hurt." "There's hurtin' to be done right enough," Jerry Lee managed to squawk out, even with the lock on his throat. "And you're the one gonna be getting a hard dose of it." "That's the wrong answer, you stubborn galoot," Mac told him. He squeezed the throat tighter and cranked the arm up even higher. "Now you'd best think about changing your mind and doing it quick. Otherwise I might decide to start ramming your head against the side of that bar over yonder until you're ready to take a different notion about things." Jerry Lee tried to issue another angry retort, but this time all that came out was a gurgling sound and some spit bubbles leaking from the corners of his mouth. "Don't worry, Jerry Lee, we got your back." Those words, accompanied by the sound of chair legs suddenly scraping on the floor and the clump of boot heels also in hurried movement, caused Mac to look around. Sure enough, the two men who'd been seated at the table with Jerry Lee were shoving to their feet and starting to surge forward. Mac didn't wait for them to get very far on their intended rescue mission. He immediately hauled Jerry Lee the rest of the way up, whirled him around, and gave him a hard shove that sent him staggering with windmilling arms straight into his two pals. One of the would-be rescuers, a plumpish number with round face, oversized nose, and eyes set too close under shaggy black brows, was directly in the path of the propelled Jerry Lee. He put his hands up as if to catch his friend, but Jerry Lee's momentum was too much to stop. Round Face was staggered in reverse until the back of his legs hit the edge of the chair seat he'd just vacated, forcing him to suddenly sit down again, with Jerry Lee more or less flopping onto his lap. While this was taking place, the remaining hombre from the table, lean and cat-like with heavy-lidded eyes, a surly curl to his mouth, and slicked-back black hair complete with another set of thick sideburns, momentarily froze. But then, when he broke into motion once again, it came in a long forward stride with his right hand reaching down to hover claw-like over the black-handled Colt riding in a tie-down holster on his right hip. Mac swore under his breath. It looked like avoiding gunplay wasn't going to be possible after all. Yet even as the fingers of his own right hand were getting ready to dive under the flap of his jacket, the pretty barmaid who'd played a part in setting this whole works in motion suddenly stepped forward to help bring it to a halt.